Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Boy, have I been absent or what? So, update on the movie. As I speak to you, it's being exported in my computer and it's going to be sent to the music composer for composing. And the special effects is almost done. I should get a draft today to see how it came out. But I'm hoping that movie could be released on November 13th. November 13th, maybe morning, evening, I don't know yet. I want to see, because majority of you are in like India and UK and all that. So I want to do a live premiere to make sure that most of you watch it. So just kind of like book that date. But again, the date can be changed. Although my composer said, the music will be done in 2 weeks. So finger crossed. But yeah, and please do not expect any movies from me for at least a year and a half. Unless I have a really, really good budget, I'm not making any more movies. I mean, I need more help because I'm so exhausted. I'm old. I'm losing hair. And my body just can't keep up with these 18 hours work days. I feel like I'm 25 making a movie, but no, I'm not. So I need enough budget to have a supervisor, to have a producer to take care of things where I just want to show up on the scene and the set and just do it and not deal with the equipment, not deal with all of these things. So I'm not digressing, I'm just venting. So you better listen to it. So anyway, let's start with our satsang video of the week. And this week, the very first question comes from Aisha. Okay, musing from the ether. Ooh, I'm musing from Earth. So what is the deeper meaning behind a parent and a child having their Saturn return at the same time? First Saturn return for the child and second Saturn return for the parents. Very interesting questions. I don't think I've ever had this particular question come to me before. So here's the deal. When the very first Saturn return is always the hardest. It's always the hardest. Because Saturn is kind of like molding you, grilling you to become something more mature. Or it's hoping that you become mature. Although most people don't become mature till they're dead. And so each Saturn cycle could become harder if you do not understand the cycle of this Saturn return, which is duty, commitment, and responsibility. If you do not fulfill your duty, your commitment, and your responsibility to yourself, to your family, and to your society, Saturn's like, well, I gave you a chance at 29 and 30, but you haven't done shit. So I'm going to have to kind of like raise the bar. Like he's raising the lever. All right, here we go one more time. Let's see, you learn it this time. And maybe if you're lucky, you might get to see a third chance given to you. Otherwise, you'll have to go in the next life. So this is what Saturn return is. So when a parent is going through it, when it's the second Saturn return, it usually transforms a person into being more conservative. Being more responsible, but being more conservative and orthodox. Like, why old people are old people? Why we say, oh man, this person's a grumpy old man. Why do we say this? Is because there's a change within a person in the second Saturn return where they're so fixated on the way they grew up. They're so fixated on the things that when the desired results doesn't happen, they become grumpy. That's what happens. And the only person who grows old and yet is full of life and people just want to be around this person is because they have realized that desires are not the most important thing. That's what this particular cycle of Saturn would represent. So for example, if a person has a great desire to, pretty much become wealthy and they didn't become wealthy, and if they hold on to that desire till the second Saturn return, it's going to hit them very hard. They're just going to hate everybody around them. They're going to be like, life is unfair, life is shit, and I don't care about anybody because everybody is against me. That's how they think that world is against them, while it's themselves that is against them. Now, when you realize that desires are nothing, it's just your mind is cultivating desires every moment. And if you can just shut that down, and when this Saturn return comes, you feel like liberated. And what happens is when your child is going through that, you're able to teach them. You're able to actually teach them that, hey, this is the time for you to become a woman, a man. This is the time for you to take responsibility, because I went through this. But if you haven't learned that lesson, if you haven't realized it, then your child will be helpless in terms of getting wisdom from you. So this is what it does. But the first Saturn return is always the hardest, because you're suddenly going from your youth to mature stage. That's what the Saturn return is. Then the second is from Catherine Dorvik. Start Jupiter through Nakshatra series. Well, I've already done plans through Nakshatra on my course in Vedic Astrology Academy. It's not just Jupiter, everything is up there. So you can just go and log in and get it. And speaking of Nakshatras, I'm almost done with my book, 90%. But the book will not be released till like next year, because it has to be reviewed. I have to add a little bit more things, but it's pretty much complete. My Nakshatra at the speed of light. Second is from Kate Ansuri. One more satsang question. How should one read a tithi Pravesh chart to understand a year ahead, like areas of focus, areas of struggle? So here's the thing. I cannot answer this in one satsang for you. What I will do, actually, because this is an important thing, I will make a whole video on it. I'll make a whole video on it within a week or two. If I don't, just remind me in one of my videos. But tithi Pravesh chart, as in the solar return, or the tithi when sun and moon are the exact same distance as when they were at your birth. And that may not happen on your birthday. That could happen literally 2 weeks before, 3 days after, 3 days before, 4 days before. It's never on. So, but that's your real birthday, when sun and moon are at the exact same spot, because that's when you were manifested. And how do you look at the solar chart? There are certain points, certain mathematical points that you look at, in a solar return chart. And the thing is, you can apply dasha, or something magical you can apply is this Padam Chakra. Use the first house as the first month, second house as the second month, third house as the third month. So you can pretty much see what's happening, But one thing you got to remember with the tithi Pravesh chart, planet in the lagna, if there's a planet in the ascendant, the rising sign, that will become the most dominating factor your entire year. And whichever house that planet rules, those two areas of your life is where you're going to be juggling with. Everything else will happen, but that's what's going to be the main one. Like, for example, when Sun and Saturn are in the lagna, meaning the ascendant, this is going to be a major year for your work and your status. Things will manifest related to your work. Now, will they be good or bad? For that, we look at the condition of the Sun and Saturn, and we look at the Mahanantara Dasha that you're going through at the current moment. And if they coincide with the, Tithi Pravesh chart, usually it's very simple to confirm that something great is going to happen, or some disaster will happen. Okay. But don't rely on just one. You can, but it's always a dasha with that. So then it's from Chinmay Bhagwat. What combination indicates success in foreign lands? Well, there are many combinations, and obviously study of a divisional chart. But one of the simplest one is a really messed up bad fourth house. I've seen this 100%. Whenever the fourth house is somehow being hit by malefics, especially also it has a low Ashtakvarga points, a person usually leaves and goes to a foreign place, and they'll find success in foreign lands. So that's the number one combination. Obviously, if your Dharma Lord is in the 12th house, 7th house, 9th house, that shows movement to a foreign place. Fourth Lord in the 12th house, fourth Lord in the 9th house, fourth in the 7th, fourth in the 8th. Fourth in the 8th also, suddenly a person will go to foreign lands. Fourth Lord in the 3rd house, person will go to foreign lands. Rahu in the 4th, Rahu aspect on the 4th. And obviously, whenever cluster of malefics are impacting the 4th, clearly a person moves to a foreign place. Now, foreign place can also be one going from New Delhi to Chennai. Why is it that it's foreign lands even though it's still in India? Because it's a different culture, different language, different food, different even gods. Like it's in South India that they worship, Kartikeya and Dattatreya and Balaji, while in North, people are not even aware of it. And I became more aware of it recently in the past 3-4 years when I started studying Nakshatras and started seeing all these South Indian gods that, are present. So it's a foreign place, Then the next question is from Enor Classes. So you are asking, why do we not get job or work? Oh my God, I cut off this question. Did I? Oh no, I didn't. Okay, so why do we not get a job or work even if we have good knowledge or experience? Please answer. I mean, this is why you're here. This is why I'm here. This is why we're all here in love with Jyotish, not just astrology, Vedic astrology. Because why is it that a person who gets an MBA, gets a 90% distinction, goes to an Ivy League school even, and is jobless? Because I've actually gotten a Harvard individual not being able to find a job, which was it was a rare case because I still remember, so it was only one case. But I've seen people from pretty name brand universities and having MBAs not able to find the success they thought they will. Why is that? Well, of course, is the dasha and yogas. What dasha are you running through? Maybe right when you graduated, the dasha that is running or started running, it's not helping you. And why is it not helping you? Well, you got to ask your soul. What did your soul do in past life? This is why good people suffer and the bad guy gets all the goodies. This is something, what do you call, oh my God, I forgot his name. A.V. Sundaram. I'm so overworked, my brain is just clogged. So A.V. Sundaram said that, it's kind of like karma is kind of like a conveyor belt. Things come. Whether they're coming from 50 lifetimes ago, last lifetime, 10 lifetimes ago, they come as a gift every year, So that's your simple answer. Why? And especially one thing you got to understand, MBA, forget even bachelor's degree. MBA is now like a high school diploma. Everybody goes for MBAs now. So if I'm a big corporation or medium-sized corporations, and if this was the 1970s or 80s, even the 90s, I would say, I'm like, wow, you've got an MBA? Wow, okay. All right, I'm going to have to give this person double the salary. Or the position that I want can only be achieved by an MBA. And so only 4 or 5 people apply versus 500 now. So what happens when somebody has this, buffet of resume in front of them saying like, well, I've got all these resume. Okay, I'm only going to pay this much. Do you want it? No. Okay, I'll pick this resume. Do you want this job or no? You don't want it? Okay. Do you want this job? I'm only paying this much. You want it? Okay, great. Come on in. That's what happens. Supply and demand. Supply and demand. So it's always better to get a skill a trade more than just like some intellectual MBA. What is MBA? Buying something for one and selling it for two, and just managing how accounting will take place and supply chain will take place. I learned supply chain on my own, having my own business, how it works. When something's running out, what do I do? I order them. These things you can learn on your own. It's better to have a skill set. Like, for example, an electrician, a plumber, okay? And the person who does house construction will never be out of work in bad or good economy. Even like in right now, in the pandemic that we are in, people want electrician, people need plumbers. And now their prices have even gone up because there's so much in demand. This is why, it's better to have that kind of a skill set. Okay. So next one is from, let's see, Monica Goyal. Can one activate 5th house nakshatra for kids' education and knowledge in their chart by drawing the animal? Absolutely. That's actually very, very good analysis. And not your children's chart. No, it's your 5th house. And that too, you got to understand, depending upon if you have, let's say, 3 children and it's your youngest one, then you want to activate the 9th house animal. If it's the second child, 7th house animal. But always activate with the foundation of the 5th. So activate the 5th and the 9th together. So yes, and even one of the big remedies besides drawing, get that particular animal in a brass form, made of fully of 100% brass. So for example, your child has Rohini Nakshatra, or I'm sorry, your 9th lord or 5th lord is in Rohini Nakshatra. Okay. What you need to do, find a brass statue of a snake, like cobra, like a coiled cobra rising up. Have that, okay? And depending upon your chart where the planet is placed, it has to be put in a certain direction, which of course can take long for me to explain right now. But having a brass statue would be great, but of course, if you don't know about the directions, is just draw the drawing. Okay. So the next one, Rima Al-Sheikh. How can we see relationship timing in a chart? Well, if you want to go on a basic level, look when your 5th house, 5th lord and Venus is activated in the dasha or antradasha, especially the antradasha. And especially if that same planet correlates with the ascendant 7th house, 11th house, or 5th house of the Navamsha, then it shows that one will be able to gain relationship. And especially in the Charadasha, romance, I have seen in Charadasha. So whatever Charadasha person is going through, make that Charadasha the ascendant and see when the 5th house sign becomes active. That is also the period of romance and relationship. But again, there's so many ways, to look at relationship timing. Let's see. So the next one is going to be from Yashmin Jabra. Which planet placement is more accurate? The regular D1 Bhavachalit chart? Or also, is that true that moon chart is the one that reveals how one's life will be more than other chart? So number one, moon chart never ignore. Moon chart you need to always look at for any kind of a study. Because moon holds the record of the past life. Why you are here is because there's certain bank accounts that need to be cleared out, which moon stores. And Ketu, which is the south node of the moon, for those who are going to be watching Meeting Ketu, it represents the past. And this is why it's known as the node of the moon. It's linked with the moon. It's the past. It's the tail that shows the back end of a person's, balance. So that's one thing. When it comes to Bhavachalit chart, when it comes to chart and Bhavachalit, you're going to kind of drive yourself a little bit crazy on that. First, you're looking at the chart here, then you're looking at the Bhavachalit, and let's say Saturn moves from one house to the other. Is it giving results of that house? Is it giving results of that house? Well, in my experience, whenever I have, let's say, seen a planet has moved, I still have seen and I'm still able to see that the planet is giving results of that normal chart, that normal, calculations of the chart. There are tricks to Bhavachalit, okay, of how when a planet moves into a house backwards, or sometimes it can even move forward. There's different classifications for that. But the thing is, you only make that, you can make that reading accurate and very good, but again, it makes one's life complicated because you're trying to, if there's one way going to the destination, it's like Bhavachalit is taking you this way, but also again taking you to the same destination. And obviously the teachers that I've studied under, they only follow the normal birth chart. But that doesn't mean that Bhavachalit is wrong. It's not wrong. But it's just that how much more complications you want in terms of your analysis. Okay. Then the last one is from Yashmin Bar. Thank you for all insights. Oh, okay. So this is it. Yes, this was the last one. So yes, we're done with our satsang. I'll be back with a regular series of conjunction and planets through houses and conjunction through houses next week, because I'm finally now done with the movie. I can finally rest. I don't know if you guys can see my eyes, but I've hardly slept. Yesterday, I felt so exhausted in the middle of my edit, like around 12 a.m. I just shut my door. I'm like, told Yash, my dog, let's go, bedtime. I just left. I didn't even want to edit. Like usually I would close things down, I couldn't. I just went straight to bed and just passed out. So yeah, for me, the movie days is something that will only come after a long, long while, man, after this. So anyway, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.